Prime Video has a real problem, and it has nothing to do with the quality of what they make. They just don't know how to get people to actually watch it. Shows on this platform routinely earn critical acclaim, loyal fan bases, and awards attention, and still somehow never break into the mainstream conversation the way a Netflix or HBO show would with half the merit. 15 of the best examples are sitting on the platform right now. An AI built to predict terrorist attacks have a side effect its creator never planned for. A comedy that broke the fourth wall so completely, it changed how an entire generation of writers thinks about narration. And a sci-fi epic fans loved so hard, they crowdfunded a billboard campaign over Amazon headquarters. Was so overwhelming that Amazon picked it up and gave it 3 more seasons. 15 shows, ranked. Let's go! Number 15. 12 Monkeys. You already know the 1995 film. Terry Gilliam, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, one of the finest science fiction films ever made. The show is not a retread. It is something else entirely.
About 40 years from now, most of the human race is going to be wiped out.
You think you're from the future?
I have to go back in time and stop the apocalypse.
A time traveler sent from a ravaged future to stop the plague that wiped out most of humanity, chasing a shadowy group called the Army of the 12 Monkeys through decades he doesn't belong in. Aaron Stanford plays James Cole, the traveler, opposite Amanda Schull as Dr. Cassandra Rayleigh, the virologist he needs to convince he isn't insane, and Emily Hampshire as Jennifer Goines, an unpredictable heiress who might hold the key to the whole outbreak. Rather than stretch one movie's plot across 4 seasons, the writers built an entirely new, looping mythology around the film's core idea, one that outgrows its source material well before the finale. Across its run, the show keeps redrawing the boundaries of what a time loop story can pull off. Characters die and reappear decades apart. Causes and effects swap places, and the ending pays off nearly every thread the pilot planted. If you loved the film and have avoided the show because you assumed it would be lesser, bro, you're wrong. 100% wrong. Go fix that tonight. Number 14. The Originals. Before this show existed, most people only knew the Mikaelson family as background villains on The Vampire Diaries. Given their own series, they turned out to be far more compelling than the show they spun off from. Joseph Morgan plays Klaus Mikaelson, the original vampire-werewolf hybrid, relocating to New Orleans to reclaim the city he helped build centuries earlier, only to find witches, werewolves, and his own estranged family already fighting over it. The show leans hard into centuries-old grudges and betrayals, with an unmistakable sense that these characters have history in every room they walk into. New Orleans itself functions almost as another character, its layered supernatural politics giving the show a texture its parent series never had. Over 5 seasons, the family drama widens from a fight over one city into a fight for the Mikaelson survival as a bloodline, and it sticks the landing in a way most CW supernatural dramas never manage. A soapy, gorgeously shot vampire saga, unfairly dismissed for being a spin-off of something younger audiences had already moved past. Number 13. Line of Duty. This show turned plain interrogation scenes into some of the most nail-biting television Britain has ever produced. Martin Compston, Vicky McClure, and Adrian Dunbar play the core officers of AC-12, a police anti-corruption unit investigating a different corrupt officer or criminal conspiracy each series, while a season-spanning mystery about a shadowy criminal figure known only as H slowly unravels underneath everything else. Jed Mercurio created this, and the show's format is part of what makes it so rewatchable. Each series brings in a major new guest star as that season's suspect officer. Keely Hawes, Tandy Wayne Newton, Stephen Graham, and Kelly MacDonald have all taken a turn in the hot seat, which keeps the show feeling fresh, even as the underlying corruption mythology keeps deepening season after season. The show grew from a modest BBC Two drama into the most watched series in the network's history by its later years, and the 6th season's long-awaited reveal of H divided longtime viewers, with plenty feeling the payoff didn't match 6 years of build-up. That disappointment is exactly why the news of a 7th series, confirmed with the original cast returning after nearly 5 years away, has fans truly excited. Tense, meticulously plotted, and one of the most influential British crime dramas of the last decade. Number 12. The English. 1890. The American Frontier. An Englishwoman travels alone into brutal, lawless territory, seeking revenge against the man she believes killed her son. A former U.S. cavalry scout, now an outcast among both Native and white communities, agrees to help her, for reasons of his own.
I'll tell you a story. Mine's about revenge. Can't help but think yours is too.
Hugo Blick wrote and directed this, and it's a Western unlike almost anything else made in the genre recently. Stylized, occasionally surreal, willing to let violence land with real weight, rather than stylized spectacle. Emily Blunt plays Lady Cornelia Locke, with a controlled, simmering fury beneath aristocratic composure. Chaskey Spencer plays Eli Whip, with a wary, hard-won trust that develops slowly across the 6 episodes. The two of them united by a shared understanding that the frontier's civility is mostly a lie, told by the people benefiting from the violence underneath it. The show doesn't flinch from the genocide of indigenous peoples that underpins the entire genre it's working in. It's woven directly into the story rather than treated as background texture. Gorgeously shot, genuinely strange, and one of the most interesting westerns of the last several years. Number 11. Animal Kingdom.
A cop died, Baz. A cop.
Peel off!
A teenage boy, orphaned after his mother's overdose, moves in with his estranged grandmother and her 3 adult sons. A family of career criminals in Southern California, running an escalating series of increasingly dangerous jobs under the terrifying, controlling matriarchy of Smurf, played by Ellen Barkin. Based on the acclaimed Australian film of the same name, this 6-season series builds an entire criminal ecosystem around Smurf's psychological control over her sons. Grown men who remain, in every meaningful way, still children under their mother's thumb. The ensemble of brothers, each with their own specific damage, their own specific relationship to their mother's control, gives the show a genuine Shakespearean family tragedy quality underneath the heist mechanics, with betrayals and alliances shifting across 6 seasons in ways that feel earned rather than manufactured for the sake of extending the run. Ellen Barkin's performance as Smurf is one of the most unsettling matriarchal villains in recent television. Warm and predatory in the same breath, wielding maternal love as a weapon with total precision. 6 seasons of escalating criminal tension anchored by a genuinely disturbing family dynamic that never lets up. Number 10. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Rachel Brosnahan plays Miriam Midge Maisel, a 1950s Upper West Side housewife whose seemingly perfect life collapses the night her husband leaves her, and who discovers, almost by accident, a genuine talent for stand-up comedy while venting about it on stage, drunk, at 2 a.m.
Big Bob Newhart's got a set of these at home. Rickles, maybe. Hey!
15 years.
Amy Sherman-Palladino created this, and the show's rapid-fire dialogue and lavish period production design carry an energy that rarely lets up across its entire run, tracking Midge's rise through the brutally male-dominated comedy circuit of the era. Where the show earns its reputation is in its willingness to let success cost Midge something real. Later seasons trade some of the earlier warmth for a sharper look at what ambition actually demands from a woman in her position, including strained relationships with her children and her manager Susie, played by Alex Borstein, whose own arc becomes just as vital as Midge's by the final stretch. It picked up 24 Emmys and a stack of Golden Globes, and people still bring it up like a hidden find rather than one of Amazon's actual flagship shows. Whip-smart, gorgeously dressed, and considerably sharper than period comedy makes it sound. Number 9. Goliath. Billy Bob Thornton plays Billy McBride, a washed-up, alcoholic lawyer forced to face off against the powerful firm he co-founded and abandoned years earlier, in a legal drama that trades courtroom procedure for something closer to a slow-motion character study of a man trying to prove he's not finished yet.
Ever since I took this case, weird stuff's happening to me.
David E. Kelley co-created this and structured the show almost as an anthology, Each season pits Billy against an entirely different corrupt institution, from a defense contractor to an opioid manufacturer to California's own water rights system, giving the show room to reinvent its supporting cast and stakes every single season, rather than stretching one case past its natural length. The show's tone shifts noticeably across its run. The first 2 seasons lean into pulpy, almost noir-inflected legal drama, while the later seasons slow down considerably to focus more on Billy's declining health and his own reckoning with the damage he's caused people close to him. William Hurt, as Billy's former partner and adversary, anchors the show with real, wounded menace. A genuinely underseen legal drama anchored by one of Thornton's finest performances. Number 8. Farscape. Here's a show that has been quietly described as one of the greatest science fiction series ever made by the people who've seen it. And somehow, 25 years later, most people still haven't. John Crichton is an American astronaut. An experiment goes wrong, he gets pulled through a wormhole and ends up on the other side of the galaxy. Alone, on a living ship full of escaped alien prisoners who have no reason to trust him and no way to help him get home. The Jim Henson Company made this, which means the alien puppetry is extraordinary. Not the cheesy kind, but the kind that makes you forget entirely that these aren't actors. Pilot, the ship's navigator, is a puppet creation so technically accomplished and so emotionally present that he regularly outperforms the human cast. But here's what Farscape does that almost no sci-fi series before or since has managed. It changes. Radically. Continuously. The show in Season 4 is barely the same show as Season 1, in the best possible way. Characters become unrecognizable. Relationships go places you didn't think television was allowed to go. Ben Browder and Claudia Black, one of the finest screen partnerships in the genre. Chemistry that earns every moment it asks you to believe in. 4 seasons and a mini-series that closes the story. If you've never watched it, set aside a weekend. You will not regret it. Number 7. The Fall. You already know who the killer is in this show. The tension comes from watching 2 people who don't know it yet circle closer and closer to finding out. Belfast has a serial killer targeting young professional women, and the detective sent to catch him gets almost as much screen time as the killer does, which is exactly the point. The show splits its attention nearly evenly between hunter and hunted, letting you watch both sides build toward a collision neither one fully controls. Gillian Anderson plays DSI Stella Gibson with a controlled, watchful stillness that made this one of her most celebrated roles, investigating a killer played by Jamie Dornan as Paul Spector, a grief counselor, husband, and father whose ordinary daytime life makes his nighttime one much harder to stomach. The show refuses easy answers about what made Spector who he is, and Gibson's own methods get just as much scrutiny as his crimes. By the 3rd season, the cat-and-mouse structure has evolved into something closer to a study of 2 people who understand each other better than anyone else in their lives does. A slow, unsettling procedural that trusts its audience to sit with discomfort rather than resolve it quickly. Number 6. Patriot.
I'm not going to pass this urine test, so I need yours. It's not just me. The country. The USA needs my pee. Yeah.
A CIA intelligence officer is given a mission to stop Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. To do it, he has to take a job at a mid-level industrial piping company in Milwaukee, learn everything about flow dynamics and pipe fittings, and wait months for a work trip to Luxembourg, where he can make a covert handoff. He also just accidentally killed an innocent housekeeper on his previous mission, and copes with the guilt by writing extremely specific, extremely revealing folk songs about it, and performing them unprompted to strangers. Michael Dorman plays John Tavner, singing every song himself, and creator Stephen Conrad, the screenwriter behind The Pursuit of Happiness and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, built something almost impossible to categorize. It's a spy thriller, it's a family drama, it's a deadpan comedy about industrial piping, all 3, simultaneously, without ever undercutting any of them. 2 seasons, 18 episodes. Amazon quietly canceled it, despite a 100% critic score on its 2nd season, and it remains one of the most purely original spy dramas ever made for television. Number 5. Fleabag. Phoebe Waller-Bridge writes and stars as Fleabag, a grief-stricken woman in London coping with the death of her best friend through compulsive sex, dark humor, and a habit of breaking the fourth wall to let the audience in on jokes nobody else in the room is allowed to hear. The first season is sharp, filthy, and quietly devastating underneath its comedy, slowly revealing the exact nature of the loss driving her self-destruction. The second season, widely considered one of the finest single seasons of television ever produced, narrows its focus almost entirely onto a doomed electric attraction between Fleabag and a Catholic priest, played by Andrew Scott. Olivia Colman plays her godmother with a passive-aggressive precision that's funny until it isn't. And the show's structure, comedy peeling back layer by layer to reveal real devastation underneath, earned it Emmy sweeps that still feel entirely deserved. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's performance and script so precise, it won her Emmys for acting and writing the same year. Funny, filthy, and one of the most quietly perfect two-season runs in television history. Number 4. Person of interest. Imagine building a machine to stop terrorism and discovering it cares just as much about the murder happening down the street tonight. An AI built to predict terrorist attacks has a side effect its creator never planned for. It also sees ordinary murders coming, and it refuses to stop flagging them. Jim Caviezel plays John Reese, a former CIA operative recruited by Michael Emerson's reclusive Harold Finch to act on those predictions. And the show begins as a fairly straightforward case-of-the-week procedural, each episode built around a new person whose number has come up. That structure changes dramatically by the show's middle seasons, as a rival, considerably more ruthless artificial intelligence named Samaritan emerges, transforming what looked like a network crime procedural into a genuinely ambitious, heavily serialized science fiction thriller about surveillance, free will, and what it actually means for a machine to value human life. The shift is one of the more successful tonal transformations in modern television. The show's early episodic structure gives way to a tightly plotted war between two competing AIs, without ever losing the character work that made the earlier seasons compelling. Started as a procedural, ended as one of the smartest science fiction shows of the decade. Number 3. Kingdom. Frank Grillo plays Alvy Kalina, a former MMA fighter turned gym owner in Venice Beach, trying to hold his family and his fighters together while wrestling with his own addiction, his complicated relationships with his sons, and the sheer physical toll of a sport that chews people up and discards them. Byron Balasco created this, and what separates Kingdom from a standard sports drama is its total lack of interest in triumphant training montages. The fights matter, but the show is far more consumed by the wreckage happening outside the cage. Relapses, betrayals, and a family constantly on the verge of falling apart under the weight of its own history. Jonathan Tucker, as Alvy's son Jay, battling from his own addiction, carries much of the show's emotional volatility across 3 seasons. Nick Jonas, in a genuinely committed dramatic performance far removed from his music career, plays Alvy's other son with real vulnerability. 3 seasons on DirecTV's Audience Network, a channel most people never had access to. A brief and quiet run on Netflix that lasted less than a year, and now a home on Prime Video, meaning most of its potential audience has simply never had the chance to stumble onto it until now. Raw, intimate, and hard to have caught until fairly recently, this is the one on the list most worth tracking down. Number 2. The Shield. This is the show that proved anti-heroes could carry an entire network drama, years before that became the industry standard.
All about bringing force down on the street. Y'all take a look at what you got going on under your own roof.
Michael Chiklis plays Vic Mackey, the leader of an elite anti-gang unit in a fictional, corrupt division of the Los Angeles Police Department, whose team operates almost entirely outside the law, planting evidence, stealing from criminals, and committing genuine violence, all while presenting themselves publicly as the department's most effective weapon against gang crime. The pilot episode ends with a shocking act of violence from Vic himself that immediately establishes he is not a hero being occasionally compromised. He is, from the very beginning, a genuinely dangerous man the show refuses to redeem or excuse. Here's what makes The Shield one of the most important crime dramas ever produced. It essentially invented the modern anti-hero crime drama that Breaking Bad, The Wire, and a dozen others would later be compared to. And it did it first, faster, and dirtier than any of them. The show runs 7 seasons. The whole series is essentially one long escalating cover-up, following that first murder outward as the lies pile up, the unit's crimes get bigger, and the walls slowly, inevitably, close in on all of them. Widely credited as one of the most influential crime dramas ever produced for television, and still one of the most purely addictive. Number 1. The Expanse.
With the opening of the alien gates, we are at a crossroads. No longer will Belters be persecuted.
Take a breath, because this one deserves it. The year is approximately 2350. Humanity has colonized the solar system. Earth is an overpopulated welfare state. Mars is a militarized colony that has spent generations terraforming a planet they've never seen green. And the Belt, the asteroid mining communities in the outer solar system, is a working class that neither planet cares about and both exploit. Then a ship disappears near Saturn. A detective on Ceres is hired to find a missing woman. An ice freighter crew survives an attack that shouldn't have happened, and a United Nations executive starts pulling on a thread that connects all 3. Sci-Fi ran it for 3 seasons. Cancelled it. The fan response, including the fan-funded billboard campaign over Amazon headquarters, was so overwhelming that Amazon picked it up and gave it 3 more. 6 seasons. A complete story. A beginning, a middle, and an ending that earns everything it built. The science. I need to talk about the science. The Expanse uses Newtonian physics. Ships burn fuel and coast. There is no sound in space. Acceleration kills people. The political economy of resource extraction is taken seriously. NASA scientists and aerospace engineers have cited it publicly as the most scientifically accurate science fiction they have ever seen. Season 3 finale. I will not describe it. I will say I had to stop for 20 minutes. This is what science fiction is for. Not escapism, not spectacle. The use of an imagined future to say something true about the present that would be too raw to say directly. 6 seasons. All of it. Start from the beginning. Take your time. This is the one. That's the end of today's list. 15 series that deserved so much more attention than they actually got. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these have you already watched? And which one are you starting tonight? And out of everything on this list, which show do you think deserves way more recognition than it's ever gotten? Also, how did you like this video? Your feedback genuinely helps me make better recommendations and create videos you'll enjoy even more. And if you enjoy the video, do like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.